What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to take you guys behind the scenes of a natural light shoot I did recently with this awesome woman right here. Her name is Emily. She is definitely one of the best models that I work with. I'm gonna leave her tag right here and make sure you guys go give her a follow. She absolutely deserves all the recognition that she can get. So for this shoot, we went about 40 minutes from where I live, which is in Saratoga in New York, and we were able to kind of find some good fields. It was basically like a golden hour shoot, and I'm gonna kind of take you guys to each section that we did, and I'll show you how the lighting was there, how I decided to shoot, and I'll show you guys some of the editing that I did as well to kind of get the looks that we did. And with all that said and done, let's jump right in. All right, guys, so here is the first location on our whole location. Believe it or not, this is actually during golden hour, but we kind of got a lot of clouds coming over, so it was really overcast. But we actually use that to our advantage, because basically at that point, the sky is just one big softbox. So with that said, I decided to kind of go for like a really soft look, which is kind of what I was going for anyway, but you know, it kind of worked out in our favor. So I had Millie kind of kneel down and take a hold of some of the flowers, and she's so good at free posing that you can kind of just give her an idea and, you know, she'll free pose off of that. So at this location, I had my ISO all the way down at 100. I went at 1/320 of a second, and then I shot at f1.8 in order to kind of really just blur out the background as much as possible so we get that good separation. Here is the first photo that I think we really nailed. Here's the original, and here is the after color grading and a retouch as well. And here is the second photo from this location that I also think came out really well. Here's the before, here's the after. Definitely a different color palette, but I'm really happy with how they came out. Let's jump into capture one, and I'll show you guys some of the settings that I used. Okay, so here we are in capture one, right? So this is the before right here, and then after some adjustments in capture one, this is what we did. So now the main thing I didn't really like about this photo originally was the greens. I think shooting outside is fun and it's great going on location. Sometimes greens are just really saturated, so in my opinion, I think it's, if you're doing portraiture, it's wise to tone down the greens a bit. You know what I mean? If you're doing like landscape or something, probably don't have to go as like hardcore, like anti-green. You know, I'm very anti-green. I just think it's a saturated, like ugly color. You know what I mean? Like it looks fine like when you're looking at it in person, but on camera, it just, you know, just, I don't know, just doesn't really match. So what we did here, right? So basic, right? So basic stuff, right? I messed around with the tint a little bit. Kelvin, I'm pretty sure I actually left that where it was. Right, I brought the highlights up a little bit, shadows up a little bit, but mainly where the real editing in here comes in is, if we go to our color panel, is that I actually went to the greens and I brought the hue all the way to the left, brought the saturation down, brought the lightness down, and just overall this eliminates these greens and kind of gives them this softer, more kind of like, almost like reeds, or like, you know, like, it's just a much softer, more relaxed tone, you know, and I just love it. And I've never really been able to nail greens for some reason. I've always had an issue with them, so I'm really happy with how these came out. And then after a retouch, and I also expanded the sides out to meet 4x5 in order to be used on Instagram. So, and then this is the after of that. Really nothing too crazy here. It's like a really simple retouch. I didn't change the colors at all in Photoshop. I kind of just did the retouch and sharpened it up a little bit and just brought it back into capture one and exported it. Let's move on to that second photo. All right, so here is the photo I actually showed you guys. This is the finished, totally finished product here. And the before is here, right? So I actually did the same settings here, right? So I'll go ahead and apply it. Right, because I actually copied it from the last one. That's basically, the first photo was basically like the base. I just used those colors. So I literally did the same thing. So if we jump over here, so I was able to make some adjustments in Photoshop in regards to the colors, right? So basically what I did is that I used a hue saturation layer, clicked on the greens, right, and made them more warm and kind of gave them like a little bit more of this I guess you could call it like a light brownish kind of color, you know. Again, I hate greens, right? So, and I think this gives it more of like an artsy feel. And I also kind of made it look a little bit more artsy. I added a little bit of fade, mainly with a gradient map. And I actually used a color lookup layer, and I used a candlelight color palette, and I was kind of able to make it a little bit more artsy as well too. So that's literally what that happened with that, as well as a retouch, and got rid of some, I think I got rid of some distractions like some stray hairs or certain plants and stuff like that. That's the thing with like these kind of shots, guys, like, is that you really have to eliminate distractions, right? So you have to, I mean, there's like a couple things I'm looking at this now, and I kind of wish I did get rid of more things, but you know, like when you're working through like a whole gallery, you know, it's like you're kind of like, okay, this looks good. You're just trying to get things out. But overall, the one thing I want to talk about with this spot was that I think we really were able to use our location to our advantage, you know, because like when we showed up, we were kind of expecting it to be like really bright, like really sunny. And it did get that way, which I'll show you guys in the next, maybe the next scene or the next scene after that. But yeah, it's, yeah, so we were able to kind of do this soft look, and Emily's just so good at, you know, like diving deep into her surroundings, so she was kind of able to do that. So yeah, these are the two shots from that. Let's move on to the next scene. All right, guys, so here I was able to find this really nice narrow spot, high shutter speed, and a spin. We were able to get this right here. The whole idea of the shoot was to really just feel, or the, excuse me, of the shot was to really just kind of feel free and just like having fun, you know, like living life and just being free spirited. That was kind of the whole point of that look. And especially with this area, we were kind of able to frame Emily up really well and kind of use leading lines to kind of lead up to the subject. I edited this basically the same way as the first photo that I showed you guys, with the same color palette, and then a retouch later on in the workflow. And that's basically the whole shot. So let's move on to the next scene, and I'll show you guys what else we got. All right, guys, so here we were able to find this awesome field here where we kind of have like these reeds almost kind of like on the side here. They're just this really nice straight line, and the trees are kind of curving over the top. So it almost creates like this really good frame for our subject. We have our friend over here, Mitch, who is holding the reflector here, trying to get a little bit more fill on Emily's face, you know, just really trying to make her stand out. So we were able to come out with this right here. I absolutely love this shot. I'm really happy with it. It's beautiful, it's simple, it's soft. We also got this one here. Again, with these color palettes, I was able to take a really simple color palette and capture one, and then later in the workflow I was able to adjust the colors more just to make them feel warmer and more artsy, you know. I mean, colors can really just completely change your image, you know. So that's being able to color grade is definitely the main thing that I'm trying to work on myself right now. So definitely an awesome job here. All right, so let's go ahead and let's move on to the next scene. All right, guys, so at this point, the sun had finally come out the way that we thought it would. I'm pretty sure I've said it before, and I definitely wrote it in one of my blogs on my website, is that when you have situations like this, the best way, in my opinion, is to do is definitely use backlight. So as you can see here, all I really did was that I found a nice, easy spot, right, where it wasn't too much going on in the background. And the trees kind of ended up framing her up a little bit, and I just backlit her. You know, you just straight up just don't light it from the front, because it's hard. I mean, you can do it, depends on the situation, but most of the time it doesn't work out, mainly because the light gets really harsh sometimes, and it's hard for the models to keep their eyes open, so they're squinting and things like that. So there's definitely certain things to take into account. But so here's what we got. We got this right here, which is a close portrait. I'm really happy with this. I kind of left the warm tones here. I was gonna fade it out a little bit, but I decided to keep the tones. Really simple shot. And another one we got was this full body shot here. Like I said, with the trees, with this shot, you can definitely see how well everything was framed up, mainly by just the foliage and the trees like in the area. You know, again, it's just, it really comes down to how you want to use your environment when you're out in the studio, or excuse me, when you're not in the studio. So let's go ahead and let's jump into the last scene from the shoot, and I'll show you guys my favorite shot from the whole thing. We actually went back to the original location where we started, mainly because the sun was finally out and we were getting all that light that we wanted. So we thought, why don't we do a awesome hair flip idea? And that's exactly what we got. We got this right here. I'm really excited about this shot because I've tried to do stuff like this before and I could never get it in focus, or the model I was working with, her hair wasn't long enough, or whatever the case may be. So all the pieces kind of just came together with the light and the location and everything. Here's the raw, and then here is the completely edited version, which has been color graded and retouched. And again, I just really tried to use this really nice soft palette, and again with like the greens, trying to get rid of the greens. I'm kind of biased against the greens. I just, like I said earlier, I think they're just really saturated and they just don't really help. So I think if you kind of fade them out like this and kind of make it like in the weeds, or excuse me, not the weeds, or maybe like in the reeds, or kind of like, just like a wheat field, you kind of get like that vibe from it. I'm really excited about this. Emily did an absolutely great job. All right guys, so that about wraps it up for me for this natural light shoot. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you guys want me to go more into the editing or make a separate video or reel on Instagram or something about how I edited those, definitely leave the comment down below and I'll do that for you guys. And with all that said and done, I'll see you guys in the next one.